Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Black Game Pros Sessions. Now, before we begin, I have to be honest. Today has been a difficult and an intense day for me personally. My mom is currently in a hospital in Hungary with some heart complications. So if my energy is a little bit off today, you know why it is. She's in a good position. She's well taken care of. So that's why I felt comfortable also keeping this session, because I think it's important to, Black Game Pro Session has always been about real conversations and real journeys and real talk. And it's also become a space for me that gives me energy, perspective, and connection. So rather than pretending that everything is normal, like I said, I might be a little bit off, but I did want to show up as I am. Maybe a bit more emo than normal, but here I am. That's just to put it out there. So now for those joining me for the first time, my name is Leon. Hello, nice to meet you. 20-year veteran in the industry. And Black Game Pro Session is a platform that is dedicated to spotlighting the remarkable Black professionals shaping gaming, technology, media, and culture. Not simply to celebrate job titles or achievements, but to understand the journeys behind them, the decisions, the sacrifices, the setbacks, the reinvention, and the moments when people chose to build something that did not exist before. And tonight's guest represents that perfectly, in my opinion. Mickaël Newton, or Mickaël Newton, I call him Mickaël Newton, has spent more than a decade working at the intersection of gaming, social impact, culture, and opportunity. During his time at Ubisoft, he's a former colleague of mine, he helped challenge how the industry thinks about access, inclusion, and responsibility. His work was recognized with the famous Pégase Award of Personality of the Year, but what makes his story especially interesting is what came next. Because after 12 years, inside one of the largest companies of gaming, he decided to begin a new chapter. Today, as co-founder of Narratify, Mickaël is helping to build greater visibility, understanding, and opportunity for African game creators, while continuing to push the industry toward a more authentic cultural representation. So tonight, we're going to talk about what it means to create change from inside a system, what it takes to eventually step outside of it, and how you begin building the next chapter on your own terms. So please help me welcome to Black Game Pro Sessions, the amazing Mickaël Newton.
Well, thank you for the great introduction. Thank you.
You deserve. Honestly, when I first conceived of Black Game Pro Sessions, you were on my list, man. You were like, I need to have you in the show one day. So I'm happy that today is that day.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you very much for being here, good sir. How have you been? Yes, we did a little chat before we're going live, but I haven't seen you. I mean, seen you online. That's also a thing that we talked about. Like, I see you everywhere nowadays with Narratify, with Jennifer, by the way, previous Black Game Pro Sessions guest. Hello, Jennifer. How have you been, good sir?
Yeah, I'm good. It's like the weather is very hot in Paris, but I'm fine. I'm just back from record with Jennifer, recording for a show where we are talking about African video games for a YouTube channel dedicated to decolonize, to have the history of decolonization, especially in France. And we are talking about art and culture and video games and manga and so on. So yeah, it was a great moment.
Super interesting to see. Like I said, you guys seem to have really taken off with your new company. So, but we'll get into all of the details for that, because I wanted to take it back to the origins, especially for all of the guests, or not all of the guests, for all of the people watching from all over the world. I have a lot of viewers from the States who don't per se realize, what it's like growing up as a Black kid in Paris, in Créteil. So before gaming became your profession, what did games represent to you personally? How did you get into all of this?
I was a kid in the suburb of Paris, in a city named Créteil. It's like a city of my heart, because it's like middle-sized cities where there is a lot of different things, different stores. It's like Paris, but without the different monuments, and very popular area with people of different cultures, different origins. And I am also from the French Caribbean side of the Caribbean islands. I'm from Martinique and Guadeloupe, and I'm very attached to my origin. And so during when I was young, playing video games was a way to see other things apart of the city, the suburb conditions that are that is popular in the sense of there is poverty, there is drugs, there is drug dealing, there is this uncertainty of the everyday life. It's like it seems like a cliche saying that this way, but it's important because my mother was in cleaning hospitals, hotel rooms, and so on, and my father was in hospital, like cleaning for the different people that are in the hospital and the different surgery rooms and so on. So we were very popular in video games. It was very cool to have my mind out of all this mess. I was like in a family of one brother and two sisters, and my mother and my father, and video games was at the center because it was a way to discuss with all the people around in the family. Even my parents, they were very interested in the video games. Wow, they are like so many different images, pictures, different pixels, and they were like, it's very amazing. So it wasn't difficult to have all my family around video games. Not everyone playing video games. My brother, we were playing fighting games, beat-em-up games like Street of Rage, Street Fighter, all the street games.
Yep.
And we did a lot of different comparison in our mind versus the everyday life. How we are behaving in schools with the people from the hood, if I may say, and it was super cool for that and also to talk in English because all the games were in English at that time, no French version of the games, so it was a cool way for me to apprehend English a part of the school classes.
Yeah, it's funny to hear that your parents were so super supportive of the gaming. You don't really hear that. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, they were questioning what is the interest of that, what it is so important to my eyes, but at the same time, they were fascinated in how it gathered people. My friend in the building where we were living, we were like doing back and forth with different friends of mine and a friend of my brother also, and discussing about video games, just sharing games that are not the official version of this game or that game. But it was super cool to have this ambience and this way of discussing with different people, different type of games, different consoles also, more consoles compared to our situation right now, like consoles like Neo Geo, Amiga consoles, Atari consoles. There were plenty of different consoles.
Wow, yeah, you bring me back, man. The Amiga, Geos. But when was the seed planted that you could actually make a career out of this?
That's interesting because it began with the different magazines. I was really into specialized magazines in video games, and I was like just cutting the different pictures and them to my wall in my room just to have like a big wall with different images of different games, and I knew that I wanted to contribute to that. I didn't know which way to do that. First time in my mind it was like be a journalist, and I was doing different drawings, paintings, like by myself and my family. I thought that I could have some kind of career around that, but it's something, man, it's really complicated to create, and for in your everyday life to do different drawings and so on, and to be like as creative as people that are doing video game. So I thought a lot of in which way I could contribute to the video game sector, and after having the baccalaureate, after my 18 years old and also, I thought that it would be interesting for me to have studies around my computer, not doing engineering courses, but management, accountancy, and things like that are around. You have your computer and you work on your computer. And I knew that I would do something that is more general than creating games. And during five years after my baccalaureate, the idea is to find my first training, the moment in the companies with schools, and see how I can do some kind of management, marketing. I was into marketing and management for my studies, and it was interesting to see my last training in my last year of studies was at Ubisoft. So I was very happy to do trade marketing. It was in 2003, if I remember well. It was at the time where Beyond Good and Evil, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, was just released. So I was very happy to be in this company, and out of that I did a lot of different trainings. But Ubisoft was a blast in my mind.
Especially with Ubisoft being a French company, were you aware and familiar with them prior to starting with them? Was it like
yes, absolutely. Absolutely, thanks to the magazines, right? I know that there is a bunch of companies at the time. They are not famous companies like today, but companies like Logiciel in French. It was like among the first French companies in video games, Delphine Software, companies like that. And they were delivering games like, maybe you know this game, Another World.
Yes.
Another World is
it's a French game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a French game done by one guy and his brother.
Back in the days when that was still possible, even though we're back in the time where it is possible again.
Yeah, and I know that right now it's a super enjoyable game, at least visually. I don't know in terms of game, but visually it's like low poly in 2D, but some kind of low poly and very appealing visually. And those games fascinated me in a sense of, I wanted to be around those games and how to contribute to that. And I knew that I could do something like just promote them. And at the same time, when I was a student, I was working for free as a salesperson in a video game store. And it was a way when the PlayStation 1 was released to play every kind of games at that time, between 95 and the first year of 2000. And it was very cool for me to...
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was like really a chance for me. I was like gifted to play all those type of games. And
How old were you at that time?
Sorry?
How old were you at the time?
Between 15 and 20.
Oh my God. So you were the coolest kid in the school.
Yeah, absolutely. With plenty of different games, plenty of consoles. The first day when the PlayStation 1 I was playing this game at the store, and I felt like super lucky compared to all my friends and my family and so on. So,
We had a question from Aaron. But what is your profession? Because indeed under your name, it just said, so what is your profession?
My current profession is co-founder of Narratify. Narratify is a company dedicated to authenticity in games. So I'm discussing with a lot of different people in the video game sector, indie people, and also big companies, people in the industry, to have this sense of authenticity in the characters, in the regions, the countries we are depicting through the video games, especially when it comes to African cultures. It's like we'll talk about that, but the right following of what I am doing, what I did in the video game sector, and I want to contribute and also to be in this adventure for sure.
That's why I think it's also super interesting, because indeed it's like an extension of what you already did, but now it's self-owned, which I think is super powerful to see. But indeed, let's go back indeed to the early days at Ubisoft. So you got in there. What was the first thing that you noticed when you got into Ubisoft back in the early days? You were there even before I started working with Ubisoft, I think.
A part of my training at the end of my studies, and I worked in the video game sector. I worked previously, before Ubisoft, at PlayStation, doing almost 1 year in the marketing team. And I was also into advertising dedicated to video game websites. So all the different banners, the different skyscrapers and the areas in a website where there is advertising, I was discussing with the different publishers to sell them advertising spaces. So it was before Ubisoft, and I had a moment also 1 or 2 years doing that as an auto entrepreneur, and I left because it was so complicated at the moment, where Facebook and Instagram were like automatic ways to sell advertisements. So I entered at Ubisoft thanks to the previous CCO of Ubisoft, because we knew each other through the social networks. As I am vocal on LinkedIn, and at that time I was also vocal on Facebook to just share stories about my own association, because I have also an association, Loisir, that means digital leisure in English. And I was sharing different stories, like as in Loisirs Numériques, we are doing events, right? Events for the suburbs, for the different areas around the cities, for people that are not going to holiday break, kids, parents, and having this dialogue around tables, ways to talk about video games without having this sense of stereotype. And once I entered at Ubisoft, it was a way to galvanize all of that, because I entered in the editorial team at Ubisoft, editorial department.
Yep.
I was into internal communication, so I was discussing with the different studios and the CCO to just share the way that Ubisoft is doing the video games, how to create worlds that are meaningful, open worlds and arena games and so on. So I was like the link between the editorial team that is at HQ, as you know, and also the studios within Ubisoft that just want to pitch better games. So it was very interesting to be in that team, because I feel.
I can imagine.
That's right. Please.
No, I can imagine that it was super interesting to be in the team. And for the people watching, by the way, you're sharing it now. Oh, yeah, if I was just there doing that. When I moved to Paris, which was long ago already, and I remember seeing you indeed in the editorial team, you were like super close to our chief creative officer, which I thought was very impressive, because as a black man, as a fellow black man, seeing someone at such close proximity and authority next to executive management, white guys with all due respect, and them actually listening to you, I could see that, and it was great to see. So I just want to give you your credit, because for you it was normal, but it was for someone like me who just came into the company and felt I'm the only or one of the few black people in the company in a specific level, seeing you move about and talk to everyone. I was like, oh shit, okay, I see you.
As you were saying, I haven't realized that I felt lucky, but at the same time, I felt like it's something I have to prove that I am into the video game, one of the biggest video game company, and to see how I could contribute at my level. I was not an executive or what, but as you were saying, I was discussing with different people, like creative directors, people, all different kind of people in the different team, and it was super good for that. I was like the main guy when it about how to create games, and it was very cool to be part of that.
Yeah, you were the dude, man. You were that dude, and once again, for the people watching, basically this means that Mickaël worked on all Ubisoft games from that specific period. Because people might not know, within these big companies, you have editorial teams. You have game production teams that do their thing, but they then work with HQ editorial, who helps them create their worlds, create their stories, and make sure that they are grounded in reality or whatever they need to be grounded in.
Absolutely.
And you were that guy that helped create these worlds for Ubisoft. So once again, I want to give you the flowers. There was an earlier question that you already answered in the beginnings, but Aaron is wondering what your parents did for a living to be so interested in video games, because it's remarkable. But both of your parents were in hospitality and cleaning, right?
But I think they were just curious about all those images. It was just for them, it was super curious, because they are like very rooted into the everyday life. So it was also for them a way to travel. My parents haven't traveled at all, a part of the Martinique and Guadeloupe Island, or mainland for my family. And it was a way to travel, to see different things. I'm thinking also especially about Assassin's Creed, the first one, and also Uncharted, the first episode, because I remember that they were very, very curious about how to interact with those vivid, so realistic worlds, so believable worlds, thanks to video games. So they were like, oh, it's working concretely, like you have your controller and you really controlling the character that I could see in the streets in this game. How is it possible? For them, it was like a permanent question about that. So,
it's like almost magic.
For me it was, and to see that in their eyes and having those questions, and sometimes to say, hey, I think it's too your game is too powerful for my TV. So you will break my TV. So please do that 1 hour. It was not like, it's video games, please go to your bed. No, it was like, you will break the TV. It's too powerful for our TV. So it was very curious and at the same time a way for them to just. So there is no like a magic recipe to have your parents around interested in video games. But yeah, it worked for my parents.
It is super interesting. So back to your time at Ubisoft, I think you spent around 12 years?
Yeah, 12 years exactly, between 2013 and 2019. 25.
Yeah. So what did that experience teach you about how power and change actually move through a large organization? Because you were there, you were in these meetings with the execs, you were in the meeting with the producers, you heard you saw the politics.
Yeah. But for me, I spent 6 years in the editorial team until 2019. And afterwards, I did a move to the CSR team, working on different things around charity initiatives. I work with national field, with schools, people that are just interested in video games, and think about the way of how a company like Ubisoft could be involved in the society with a capital S. So it was, think about how to contribute to association, non-profit, how to have those games like Assassin's Creed Discovery into schools, to have this game, Rabbids Coding. Rabbids Coding is not like a famous game at Ubisoft, but it was the most powerful games to discuss with teachers at school, because we were talking about these coding classes, how to have children, either boys and girls, just having this game that teach the basics of programming. It was super cool to do some kind of partnerships with different schools, different alternative ways to teach those coding classes, and at the same time to imagine collaboration with NGOs, for example, to have this game for people that are, for example, in refugee camps, and translate the game into certain languages that are not available in the game by default. Like I remember a mission that I had, it was to translate the game into one of the 2 Afghani languages in Dari, if I remember well, ARI. It's one of the 2 languages that is in Afghanistan. And it was super cool to find the right people to discuss with, to translate the game and to be pertinent in the eyes of the refugees that are in another country, arriving in another country, and to contribute with Rabbids Coding, but also other games that could help in terms of literacy and so on. And my work was to do this kind of partnership with Ubisoft, with NGOs like Libraries Without Borders, Red Cross, and so on, blah, blah. There is a lot and plenty initiatives that Ubisoft did at that time.
A lot of people think video games, okay, you play video games, entertainment, it's escapism, it's that, but indeed and that's one of the things that I always found very inspiring from watching you work, is indeed looking at these entertainment products and seeing the value that they could have from an educational perspective, indeed, or just from the perspective, like you said, with the refugee camps, either teaching them new skills or just giving them a way to relax. And I think it's so inspiring. And I was always, when I was still working on E3, I was always upset with, I'm not going to name any names within the teams, why can't we do this globally? Some of your initiatives are like, how can we turn this into a global thing? Because that was a really strong believer of the value of games other than just entertainment products. You already mentioned Discovery Tour, you mentioned Rabbids Coding, but it's these things that show that play as a whole can teach and is the way to learn stuff.
Yeah, and at that time, I had also this reflection of how a company like Ubisoft could contribute to other spaces where video games are created. For example, Africa. Yeah. At that time, I was very curious about how video games are like just appearing on a continent like Africa. I remember that Ubisoft was in Morocco with
Casablanca, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was like 15 years ago. But yeah, it was Morocco that is not like the people that are like the most We are very close to Morocco. We know very well Morocco because they are super close to France. But also at the same time, we know, as I'm from the suburbs, I know a lot of people that are from Morocco, from Algeria, Tunisia, and so on. But apart of that, in Senegal, in Mali it's very specific, but in Cameroon, in Nigeria, and so on, I was very curious on how games are developed, which means they put in the games, and which kind of games. So I had a lot of different discussion at Ubisoft to see how we can contribute to that, how we can involve our own employees at the time to have them at the same table and discussing about the games that are created in Africa, but also games that we can create together. And it was complicated in a company like Ubisoft because, again, it's a big company, and a part of certain specific actions, like punctual actions, it's really complicated to have something that is like on the long term with companies that are not like as bigger as. So I was like a little bit frustrated, and I did my own research to see with my own association, and I did like specific like punctual events. And as the time is passing, I was like, we can do something. I can do something by myself, and that's why I had this discussion with Jennifer Lefaux. Jennifer Lefaux is my associate with Narratify. She is running her own association named Afro Gamers.
Yes.
Afro Gamers is about it's about all female that are from Africa and the diaspora, living in France, but not only. And I am part of Afro Gamers as a member, like a regular member. But I had a lot of discussion with Jennifer on how we can do better than that. And we thought that creating our own company dedicated to African spaces in video games could be a good sequel to what I did at Ubisoft. And that's why we are with Narratify right now.
It's so interesting because it seemed that you received the Pégase Awards during your time at Ubisoft, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Because it seemed that was like the crown of your work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Afterwards, you were like, you've done your research, you've done the homework, you created the foundation, and indeed you decided to create your own thing. What was that process? Because I've been at Ubisoft for 20 years. I've been there for a while. I'm part of the furniture. But especially nowadays, what makes you decide, you know what, I'm going to give up this job where I have access and do my thing and do all the things, and just go by not per se by yourself, because Jennifer is a great partner to have and work with. What was that process for you? Who did you talk to?
In fact, with my association, I'm discussing with all the different counterparts in the video game sector. In France, especially in France, I'm discussing with people that are in the different ministries, for example, about how to have this link between the government and what we did at Ubisoft, for example, in terms of education and so on, but also in between, how to have this dialogue between the different people in the value chain of the video games. And as my association, we had these events, people in the different areas. It was in the different cities, but also we launched an initiative named the Global Gaming Days in French. It was Journée Mondiale du Jeu Vidéo, like the Global Gaming Day, basically. And it was in 2010. And it was super cool to see that in the French community, per se, it's all the different countries where you are talking French. French are among the main languages. And during 1 or 2 or 3 days around November, around the Black Friday, right, in November, to create the different events, different initiatives around video games. And between 2010 and 2015, it was the climax of those initiatives. There were like hundreds of different events during those 3 days. And it was for me a good way to convey this kind of message that video games can bring more than just fun. You can do education, you can do like specific sales also for people that haven't the means to pay video games and things like that. All the different, to be very vocal around video games. And I think this event was a switch for me in terms of having those discussions with different counterparts in the video game sector, and also for Africa, because among all the different counterparts, there were also different people in Africa that were interested in create their own events around the world, the global game days. And people from Maghreb, Tunisia, Morocco, and so on, but also countries I didn't know at that time, like Togo, like also Cameroon, and so on. So it was super cool to see that from one message, one sentence, doing noise around video games. It was awesome to see this energy.
You saw it resonate. You saw that, okay, you're putting something out there and people are giving it back. On yes, more of this.
Huge, really, it was huge. It was huge. And it was just an idea in my mind. And I had this discussion like a couple of weeks ago with people. I remember it was in a German event, Amaze Festival, where I remember someone talk about those World Gaming Days. And I said, hey, I am the creator of the World Gaming Days. And it was like, wow, it's not possible. And I said that it was super easy. I just send a message on the social network, on Twitter at that time, and Facebook. And people just embrace this idea of doing something specific during those 3 days. And a part of that, I created also a scholarship dedicated to students that are underserved, that their parents don't have a lot of money to pay their studies. And it was also a way to be in touch with people that decide in the video game sector. So that's why I had the Pégase is the equivalent of like an Oscar for people that are creating movies. So I was super happy about that.
Yeah, I can imagine. A lot of people see when they see these kind of awards, they see the applause. Wow, amazing. Oh, great job. Well done. What happened after the applause was over and the celebrations were over? Did you actually see that it changed anything for you, or was it just another kind of like cool memory?
Oh man, it was, for me personally, it was complicated. Just because I'm discussing right now with you, but I am not shy, but I am in between. I am someone super discreet. I am into my thing. I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I'm doing that at home, and I'm seeing my friends and my family. I'm not a party animal, if I may. And during a couple of weeks, I was like hiding beyond walls to avoid people. They were all saying, especially at Ubisoft, congrats for your Pégase. I can show it to you if you want the Pégase.
Yes, please. I want to see it.
It's just there.
You should be proud of it. It's look at that.
So it's a super statue of a Pégase. And yeah, I was like super shy about it. And I felt like I am an imposter also because I'm not creating games, right? Yeah. I'm into the video game sector, but I'm not creating games. So I was like, man, I don't deserve that. And at the same time, I'm doing a lot of different things. So I'm like, it's super legit that I have this Pégase.
It's super cool and it's well-deserved.
Thank you very much.
But did you feel that this recognition feel like a validation of the journey that you've gone on so far, or did it create a new sense of responsibility now that you have this? That now with this power comes great responsibility.
In fact, on my journey was, I have to continue that, and also at the same time transform all that energy to something that is not for my own community. That's why I created Narratify, because at Ubisoft I was like comfortable with people that know very well video game sector. All around me was all about video games, and my own way to embrace this award is to contribute where video games is really complicated to discuss. And that's why I am, thanks to the French government and the different associations I know, it's super easy for me to travel to discover other countries in Africa and have those discussions with different studios and people that create video games a part of their everyday job, and to imagine a landscape where Africa is around the table. And it was for me the best way to embrace this award is to have this sense of impact on the continent, but also in my countries, Martinique and Guadeloupe, those islands. They are small islands, right, in the Caribbean Sea. It's 100,000 people in each island. And I know that video game is something important there. But they are part of France, Martinique and Guadeloupe. They are French departments, but they are so far from the mainland, the France territory. And I have those back and forth with some people in the video game sector that are interested in the video game sector on those islands. For example, I have a regular discussion with Muriel Tramis. Muriel Tramis is
she's the winner of the French the
Légion d'honneur. I don't know if
exactly the biggest award, one of the biggest awards.
Absolutely, one of the biggest awards as a citizen.
Yeah,
we had those discussions about how to, because she created video games in the 90s. She is a woman. It's not okay to share ages, but she's
been around for a while.
Yeah, sorry. She's a veteran.
Exactly, yeah. She's a veteran, yeah.
She's a veteran. And we have this back and forth about how to bring those questions about how those islands were integrated to France, this sense of, because it's a question of talking about the slavery history, all those type of questions. And right now she is like creating a new game, and she is alone about this game. She is on this island with people that help them like punctually, but as she's not in France, it's super complicated to have those games that are like super interesting for the French medias and specialists, even if she has the biggest award as a citizen in France. I am thinking about solutions for her and all those people that are in the Caribbean Sea that want to create video games. We launched with Jennifer an event, an online event that is the equivalent of Summer Game Fest, Ubisoft World, but dedicated to African video games and African diaspora video games. And we were super happy with Jennifer to create this place of discussion, of visibility for people that are not so visible in the video sector. And we were very proud to be in touch with, for example, the Jamaican creators, because we don't know Jamaican in the video game sector. And it's super cool to see this kind of games that are happening. And we hope that thanks to this kind of initiative, we'll put visibility to those initiatives.
Yeah, it is super impressive. And it also shows indeed that gaming is everywhere. When I started at Black Game Pros as well, and I started to really read into Black representation within gaming all over the world, indeed you see that it's indeed all over the world. We have Black people working in gaming or working on creating video games, which is, it's heartwarming almost to see, because it can feel alone sometimes.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, that's why I can only applaud what you and Jennifer are building with Narratify. So, question, it might be a little bit controversial, because cultural authenticity is a phrase that the industry uses increasingly often. So, we need to be cultural and authentic, but what does it actually look like when it's done properly? And what does it look like when it becomes performative? Because a lot of brands, companies are performing. They don't really understand, it seems like.
Wow, super controversial, but super interesting at the same time. I will take an example. We had this discussion with a studio from Brazil, Mandiga Games. It's a studio of two brothers. They launched a trailer recently, 2 or 3 months ago. And the game is about, it's a strategic game. You have a boat, a top-down game. You have a boat with slaves inside. They just eliminate all the people, I say, colonial people, and they take the boat to go back in Africa. They are leaving Salvador de Bahia to go towards their origin country. And they launched their trailers, and it was like mayhem on Steam forums, and also on X.
Yes, I saw the controversy around that one.
Yeah, and they felt drawn into something that they do not imagine at all, as brothers just creating their own video games by themselves and just sharing their own stories. Yeah. The story of their culture, their origin. They were just creating that. So they contacted Jennifer and I just to say, hey, guys, we are just super emotional about our games, that people don't understand what we want to do. We just want to convey our own stories. And we were doing like a roguelite, so a game where you have your some kind of randomness by just launching the game, just having your own journey, and when you are eliminated, you just go back to the very beginning of the game with a different path. And right now, our main advice was as a consultant, was to reinforce the content on the cultural space. Because when it's controversial on the social network, it's generally a question of misunderstanding of the game intention,
Positioning.
the game, yeah, absolutely, and like the marketing, how to say that? Marketing maybe bad ways to just convey this sense of authenticity, like be a token to have the black people just being the main character and without any like cultural sense or like a storytelling sense in the eyes of the player. And our main advice was to reinforce that, to share a believable story, even if it's not a realistic story, it's a believable story around all those slaves and why and what is the main situation, what is the Brazil situation at that time, to better understand that, and to create another trailer, maybe later when the game will be almost ready, and share this own story with them, a better sense of why they are into this situation, and just punching at white people, and to better understand this sense.
Yeah.
And also,
Context is everything.
Yeah, the context is key. And also at the same time, we don't force anything. The idea of accompanying those companies is to link them to the right people, not only historians, researchers, teachers, and so on. It could be people that are just have their everyday life. For example, I don't know, you are talking about a family, especially the game is around a family, like a mixed family, like a French guy and a Senegalese woman, and just how to frame Senegalese French way to create a believable character. Is it with an accent? Is it with certain Senegalese word? And so on, which kind of food they are eating, which kind of discussion they have at home, and so on. So it's a question of reinforce the story and not forcing anything.
I love that. Yeah, it's super interesting. I did not know, but it's super interesting what you did. No, but it's necessary because indeed, without the right context, without the right positioning, without the right marketing assets, these things can be misunderstood or misused to share other propaganda that people might want to share. So it's good that you guys are out there to help these companies.
And also, just one thing about all of that, I think the right crown at the very end is that the people you want to depict, it could be like in a game that is from the US, from any kind of country, from Asia, for example, the final crown, the final award, is to have the concerned people, the people that are in the area you want to depict in your game, just embrace your game and use your own game as a tool for them to just share their own story. Yep. In the schools, in their media, and so on. For example, the game from we were working with a company in South Africa. The game is Redooted. Maybe you're familiar with this game. It's a game about a band of thieves that just rob museums, African artifacts, and retrieve them and giving them back to the original country. So
I think I've heard of that one. Yep.
Yeah, the game was also controversial, but not for the same reason, just because it's a band of black people. But the game is legit, as it is a real question in real life, how to give back those artifacts that have been stolen sometimes. In the general, the first way to have those artifacts was stealing those artifacts originally, but it's not the main point. This game is a game that is about parkour, having those people that are from South Africa with their own accent, own way to wear clothes, and so on. So once you play the game, that it is a cool game before anything. And afterwards, you will have the message about how you can do that in real life, for example. And that's cool. That's a cool game for me.
But that's what I think is super valuable and cool about what you guys do. Is you ground the stories. You make sure indeed that the context is right, that it makes sense, that you help these Black developers, or any developers actually, to make sure that whatever they create is grounded and works.
Absolutely.
Because indeed you can have a great game, but if the topic is not grounded in reality, or in the reality that you're trying to depict, then the story doesn't work. Then you can have the greatest gameplay, but
and for this game especially, we were not like consultant for the content. We were doing an event in France, in Paris, dedicated to link the people that have created the games to the people in a place named Mansa. Mansa is the House of African Worlds, Maison des Mondes Africains. And we did some master classes about how they create the story. People like a hands-on session for the players to discuss with those people, the CEO of the studio and so on. And it was enlightening to see all those people, around 100 people during the event. And it was people from university, just meeting people about this question of retrieving the artifact and so on. And it was super cool for that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, when you do a game properly, it can drive conversation. Like you said earlier, it can teach people, it can educate people. So indeed, if you make sure that whatever you share, the story that you share in your video game is rounded and works, then indeed you can do what you do. So there's a question from Jalen. Mr. Mickael, do you have any advice for a young professional searching for a place to grow the video game community in today's era? He's not a game designer of video games, however, very passionate about the business and community. And I think especially, you're also not a game designer. I'm not a game designer, but we all work in the fringes of the video games. How do you recommend the young people to get into gaming?
It's easy and hard at the same time, because I was one of those young people 20 years ago. And I crafted my own place by creating some spaces for discussion. For example, I remember in 2010, if I remember, I was into the video game sector, but I created forums, pages, and also forums on Facebook, just to help people find their own trainings and also jobs in the video game. So create your own place dedicated to other people and open it in that sense of just having people that are professionals, but also people that are just searching their own place, like trainings and so on. And also be there at the different gatherings that are existing. There is a lot of different gatherings all over the world. Don't be shy about being there and having like those regular discussion with people that just grab a beer or coffee or something, just to talk about anything, not only your career, but anything. What is your game? Oh, okay, interesting, and so on. And you're creating your own network this way. I did a lot of different events and a lot of young people this way, just having them at those events and just sharing their own stories, just having just normal chat. And once you did a lot of different events like that, you will see that there is, when you shoot just a message, hey, here is my resume, and I want to find something in the two weeks to come. It's super urgent. Can you help me? You will see dozens of people just sharing and your own resume and so on. So create your own place, or be there when it's possible around you. And even if it's not an IRL space, be there on the forum and so on, and contribute to that. Just give your own advice. It's my advice and just my opinion that I said that or that and so on.
No, but I think it's good advice. And actually, to give credit where credit is due, Jalen already reached out to me prior to the session, because he asked me exactly approached it like you just said that he should have. Indeed, he would reached out to me like, hey, I'm Jalen. I want to do this and this. I'm not a game developer, but how can you either help me or give me an advice on which direction to go? Very polite, which I very much appreciated. So I also shared some openings in the industry with him that he could look at. But I also recommended him, first of all, to join Black Game Pro sessions, of course. But to connect, indeed, like you said, connect with the people that you feel inspired by, and indeed reach out to them. And indeed, don't always just be about career and about, oh, give me or take. No, share, be a human being and have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Share your thoughts, share your ideas. And a lot of times with creative folks, you will hit it off because we like talking about creative shit.
Yeah, there is no magic recipe. Just share your thoughts. I am on Blue Sky, just sharing ideas of video games for the future, for Africa and so on. Hey, I'm thinking about something. It's for you. I'm not creating games, but if there is one game in 5 years that is around that, I'd be very happy.
I know we're running out of time, but I have a few more questions for you if you don't mind.
Yes.
So, looking 3 years from now, what would meaningful success look like for Narratify, in your opinion? What is the goal? Global domination?
Not for the 3 years, in 10 years maybe. No, I don't know. No, I think the Afro Game Showcase we launched recently, if there is a way to have an IRL version of that in-person gathering, and also why not having a way to be some kind of publisher for all type of people from Africa, but also people that are not so visible in the video game sector, and support their games in different ways of contribution. It could be like creating characters together or contribute to their games. I'd be very happy. Right now, we are just consultant discussing with a lot of different people. But if we are more into the game creation at the very end, at the end of the day, we'll be very happy.
Okay. I'm sure you get there. And actually, while you were talking about what you guys are working on, I'm pretty sure you're probably very well connected already in Africa, but if there's one person I could recommend you to connect with if you're not already connected, he's not per se in gaming, but it's Kofi Torkson, a Ghanese entrepreneur. Doing a lot of events all throughout.
Okay.
I will connect you guys. I'll do that offline. That's a different conversation. Semi-final question. What are you building right now that the younger Mickaël needed to see existed? What's the thing that if the younger you would look at this right now will be like, yes?
Okay, I think it will complete the previous question. I read a French book named, in French, it's named New York. New York, it's an invented name, even in French. It means New York. And it is a book about a black child in a tribe of white people in an apocalyptic region after some kind of disaster, ecological disaster. So all the people are just back into a situation where we are all tribes, and this black child it is just a normal child at the beginning of the story, and afterwards it becomes the end of the story. He becomes a god for a certain reason. I won't spoil that. And it's super interesting to see how it's progressing all along the story. It's a super short story. And I want to see that into a video game. To see these black people in this tribe of white people, just the black sheep of the tribe, become the god of all the world at the very end. And it will be a good achievement for me to have this game realized at the very end. And I talked to my childless me and say, we did it.
So in other words, what you're saying is you want to be a god. I hear you. You want to be a god. No, of course, that is a joke. So final question. When people look back at this chapter of your life, what you're now building with Jennifer Narratify, but also your association, what do you hope they would say Mickaël Newton helped make possible? What is that thing if they would write the book, or if you would write the book later?
Wow, that we've met with Jennifer, with this guy or this woman, and we discussed. We had in mind certain things for the future, for his future, our future, and years later, we could see that it's happening in terms of having some ideas, just some ideas, and how to transform them into concrete moments, concrete realization. And I think if I'm, for everyone I meet in my career, if I help to contribute or assist them in a certain way, and a couple of years that we see that all of those things that we imagine at that time is concrete right now, I'd be very happy. And to just say, having those people just saying, thank you for that, I'd be like enlightening for the rest of my life.
So final question, what would this chapter be called? If you would have to write the book, this chapter that you're in right now, what would you call this chapter?
Just we did it. We did it.
We did it.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, good sir, for your time.
Thank you.
Sorry to go a little bit over time, but happy to finally have talked. I hope to bring you back in the future, maybe once or twice. Maybe you can do a panel once, and whenever Black Game Pros goes into in-person events, I would love to have you there as well.
I'd be happy to be there. Thank you very much, Leon, and I hope the best of luck for you and what you're doing. And thank you, everyone, for your contribution and your question.
Thank you very much, good sir. Everybody watching, thank you for joining wherever you are in the world. Know that you're appreciated. Your feedback is appreciated. Your viewing, even if you don't comment or ask questions, you are appreciated, and you are enough. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back next week with, who do we have next week? Next week, we have Ro Hunt, who's the former creative director at 2K. I might be butchering that, but she's great. But she'll be here next week. Thank you very much, Mickaël. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you, Leon.